Okay, so, oh, recording in progress, got it. Stephanie? No. Alita's here,
Here, yes.
Joanne is here,
Here.
Jan? I'm here. Kathy Anderson? Tamith Rossi? Okay, is Deb Borneval on from Thomaston? She's a new appointee. Nope. Okay. Danessa's not here, but Mira Lavasi here. Did I say that right? She's filling in for Danessa. Jacqueline? Chris Vega? There's Bob DeVito. Lisa, you're on, right? Yeah, Lisa's connecting. Mary Marone is here, and Maria Vaccarelli.
I'm here, Mary Maria's here.
Okay, great.
And Maria.
Okay, excellent. All right, so public comment. We did get a correspondence from the town of Thomaston from Edward Money, and he was concerned about the non-ADA fee. He sent a little message that said Thomaston is paying this fee under protest. Based on 294 trips at $1.75 town's match per trip, our fee should be $514.50. The fee we are being charged is $625, which equates to $2.0125 per trip. It was explained as to how this fee is equated, and while we understand the math, we disagree with the method, but they still went ahead and paid. We also had some correspondence that came from Ann Mariotti, and we were invited to view the presentation put on about New Mix, which is the rehabilitation project on I-84, and then the new I-84 that they want to get in place. I know Bob DeVito was there with me listening in, and it's pretty interesting how they're going to finish the rehab, and then they're actually going to try to get rid of all those double decks and build one that runs alongside of it to straighten it out a little bit and not be so confusing between 84 and Route 8. But when they do that, that's going to cause some of the exit ramps or entrance ramps to change. So that may change how the buses go through Waterbury. Did anybody else have any other public comments? Okay, so did everybody get a chance to read the minutes from the June meeting? I know I wasn't there. My mom had called with an emergency, but she's fine. And thanks for your thoughts and prayers that you sent me. But if nobody has any questions about the minutes, could we get them a motion to approve them?
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of the June meeting.
The June 9th meeting.
Yes.
I'd like the second.
Okay, Joanne and.
Lydia.
Okay, great. Thank you. So moved. Oh, I'm sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
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 So moved. So now I'm going to turn this over to Josh. I know you met him last meeting, but he also has somebody new to introduce to us. So take it away.
Right. So welcome, everyone, and thank you for your participation. I am NBCOG's Assistant Planning Director. Again, I think I've been introduced in the last meeting, but if anybody missed that, as of April. In addition, we have an even newer staff person than Rich Donovan, who I think also were introduced to in our last meeting, and he's our transportation planner. We also have a new transportation engineer, which is Kevin Ellis. You can raise your hand if you want. Hi. So for the moment, as I think all of you know, Gabriel moved on to another position, and I'll be the interim staff person for our role in the process, at least for this quarter's meeting and possibly next. And then Kevin, the plan is that Kevin will transition to take on that staff function over these next couple of quarters. And so we'll kind of split that up, and Kevin will get the hang of a whole bunch of things here, but including staffing for this organization. So I think that's pretty much all I've got on the intro side. I guess they'll start to just go through some of the routine administrative items, and also just to briefly address the issue that was raised by Thomaston and present it to the board for their further consideration. So with that, I'm going to move to share my screen on the financial update. Just give me 1 second here. Okay. Hopefully this works. Okay, so can you all of you see the financial update page that was included in your invitation packet? Basically, you can see that revenues for this quarter are at a normal rate and accumulating significant additional fund balance. Expenses are reduced substantially, basically continuing impact of the pandemic, having basically reduced some of the significant portion of the discretionary ridership for both the dial ride and non-ADA portion of the service. I will in a moment, give you a quick summary of the ridership, and you can still see that there's a downturn from pre-pandemic levels. So just to open it up, if there's any question regarding particularly the expenses shown, I think Gabe had briefed you regarding those as being upcoming items at the prior meeting. So, it nothing here should be a big surprise. But obviously we are in the first quarter of this current state fiscal year. And, like I say, I think the overall financial situation looks very good. With that, I'm going to just shift over to the next item of the agenda, which would be the ridership report. Hold on just 1 sec here. Okay. So let me close this screen, hopefully, and open this one. Okay, that's good. So you should be able to now see the ridership update. Again, in particular, for the dial ride ridership is returning slowly to a more normal level, whereas non-ADA ridership is back up somewhat, but is definitely still at a lower level. With the continuing impact of the pandemic, it's likely that will continue through a good portion of the 22 fiscal year. It's way above my pay grade to understand, what might bring that to a more normal level, and when people will start to feel more comfortable making some of the more discretionary travel. But the services are at a normal level. They're out there for those that require them. With that, I'm going to just stop the screen share and move on to a brief discussion. I actually had Gabe preparing a PowerPoint show, but I think that the point here is fairly simple, so I'm just going to share it with you without the slides. basically, as Betty noted a few minutes ago, the finance person in Thomaston submitted their payment under protest, via their for selectmen, with the concern that basically the math wasn't as straightforward as perhaps it could be. This dates back, and I checked into this with Gabe, because we never want to hear that someone's submitting an invoice under protest. I checked back with Gabe. That apparently predates Gabe and Christian. So it's going back at least 6 or more years that the calculation has been made with essentially a round up element to it. I guess as best an explanation I can think of is that someone decided that it was nice to have numbers that were slightly prettier. I don't understand why it was done that way. I mean, essentially it rounded up to figures like 625 and 700 and 750, etc., instead of just being, as the finance person in Thomaston might have preferred, just a straight set of multiplication. There doesn't seem to be any reason, again, I've looked into this with Gabe, there doesn't seem to be any reason financially that calculation has to be made in a specific way. I will say that there is a need for a slight overhead rate to cover some of the costs of our staff time. So the math will be basically fair with a multiplier. So it's going to be slightly higher in order to basically to keep, if we were to make, Trish.
That money is just a pass through. We don't keep any of it for overhead. It's just passed through to non-ADA ridership. That just passed through to NET for the riders.
Okay,
That doesn't, we don't keep that. We have a dues, we have a dues amount
okay.
that we keep.
I stand corrected. I got my information from Gabe, and maybe I missed something in translation. But that said, basically, I'm gonna, redo the billing methodology so that essentially the math works and we don't have that rounding step in the process. Unless there's anyone on the board that has a concern about that, we'll just make that procedurally, we'll make that change for the billing of the next quarter. Again, I don't know how that came into being, but it doesn't seem like it's a necessary or productive step, and it's probably more straightforward for those of you that interact with the finance departments. They like numbers that are easily identified by their different components. So like I said, that's the best explanation I can offer, and unless there's any objection, that's the change that we'll make to just make the accounting a little bit more straightforward. Just following up on some of the items that Gabe had mentioned for the prior meeting, basically 5310 program has been expended for this cycle. There will be an upcoming announcement probably at some point during the second quarter of this year. So, between now and the end of the year, about the new cycle of 5310 funding, and we will, set up and conduct a selection process for those projects, those programs that want to receive additional 5310 funding. With that, I'm gonna, before I mess anything else up, I'm gonna switch it over to NET's representative, if she's got a minute. Maria, are you available to just give us a quick update?
Yes, not really too many updates going on right now.
Okay.
I mean, we're trudging along. Our ridership's still a little bit down, pre-COVID, but otherwise we're running as usual. And that's it.
Any questions for Maria from the board members?
No.
Okay, Betty, I will turn it back over to you if you want to ask folks if there's any open discussion items that they want to bring out. Before I do that, though, I did want to say in general, the agency and Naugatuck Valley Council of Governments has identified diversity, equity, and inclusion as being a major priority policy direction for this fiscal year. You'll hear more about it as that initiative moves forward, but I think it affects every one of our staff activities, including our membership in GWTD. And, you know, basically as an open discussion item, I would definitely encourage any thoughts that you have in terms of widening the visibility and participation in the board, and any further information that staff can provide to help you move in that direction. Obviously, we're here to help you to make that happen. So I just wanted to let you know that as a broader agency-wide initiative. And Betty, it's your turn. You can
Okay.
open up for further discussion.
Okay, does anybody have anything they want to bring up? April?
Hi, yes. Hi, Betty. Good morning. I just wanted to share something that the Kennedy Center started doing during pandemic to help people with the ADA paratransit applications. So of course, you know, there's a written application that you can mail in, and then you can do it online as well. But our ADA coordinator, our statewide coordinator, Mary Rosenbauer, during pandemic saw a need. We've actually recognized a need for people who get overwhelmed with those applications on a regular basis. Whenever I'm out in the community talking to seniors, people with disabilities, or veterans, it's always a little daunting trying to fill out that application and follow through with all the steps. So we now have a free service where individuals can call a phone number at the Kennedy Center, leave a message. Our ADA coordinator will do the application for them over the telephone.
Oh, that's fabulous.
Obviously, there is still a medical component that may be needed. There still may be medical diagnoses, you know, doctors' information that needs to be shared. But it's been wildly successful. And I anticipate, Maria, especially for you, I anticipate you seeing a much, well, maybe not much higher, but more applications coming forward through Mary. So, you know, it's really good too for the low vision people. And I was just at one of those groups in Brookfield, so they were definitely happy to hear that. Hi, Josh.
Hi, everybody. I'm just going to weigh on this because I've encountered this with other transit districts. It always, and I'll be honest, I don't know all the federal regulations, and so I'm just going to throw this out there. I've always wondered if it would be possible to set things up so essentially when an applicant put in their self-determination, that essentially that was considered the default. And, you know, if staff felt that there was a need to either, you know, on a case-by-case basis or as an audit to go through and find out if there were, you know, medical issues that maybe didn't qualify somebody, you know, that they could then be sent a letter and said, look, you really don't qualify for this program. But it always seemed to me that the program was set up on the basis that people are not being truthful in their applications for this, whereas, you know, as far as I know, the overwhelming almost, you know, 99% of people who actually apply for dial-a-ride service are probably legitimately entitled to it based on their medical condition. So I don't know if that's a major paradigm shift in terms of eligibility determination, but it always seemed like that would be a rational modification to just, you know, basically accept that people are accurately defining their own need. And then, you know, if there was a suspicion that someone was not, you know, needing that service, to then go back and basically unenroll them if necessary.
Maria, I think you can speak to that, right, with what NILGA does with the, well, then in-person interviews, but now, I don't know, she's still doing them over the phone?
Yeah, right now we still don't have face-to-face interviews going on. A lot of it is over the phone, and if we question their disability, obviously we send out a formal letter to their physicians that they supply us with the information. So that's what we've been doing now.
So yeah, we've lost a lot of that in-person contact, but I do believe it's made the process more streamlined for individuals. So we shall see. So far, it's been well received when people hear about it.
Okay.
So that's a bonus.
That's good. Anything else anybody would like to bring up? Okay, well, our next meeting is December 8th. So with that, would somebody make a motion for adjournment?
Make a motion, Carew.
Second,
sec-
Capetti.
Thank you, ladies. Okay, well, we
Yeah.
will see
All right.
everybody in December.
Or
Right.
October, if you're coming to the steering committee meeting.
Oh, right, right. What date is that? The 27th?
27th, I had to change it, yes.
27th. Right. Oh, one other thing. Did anybody want a copy of the presentation for the new mix? They did send the PowerPoint. I can just send it out. Yeah.
There's
You know
also a
what else?
website. If you look up New Mix, the engineering consultant has a quite well-developed website that gives you lots of information on that. I would note that that project has at least a 20-year timeline. So the major engineering elements are probably, I mean, essentially these projects are so expensive that the state plans for them for a very long time in advance. So, you know, the actual operational changes to either scheduled or dial-a-ride demand response service will be quite a few years away. But, you know, again, if those that are resident in the region are interested in this kind of a major project, there's certainly a good bit of information available for them on the website. And maybe we can include that in the minutes or in an email to folks too,
Yeah.
to just let you know.
Yeah, I think they just actually launched that website.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, everybody have a great fall and see you hopefully in October at the meeting with April.
Thank you, Betty.
Okay. Bye.
Have a good day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye, everyone.